Welcome back to the Optimum Method, where we focus on how to create, optimize, and operationalize the way you work so you can build a business and a life with clarity and structure, because structure creates freedom. Today's episode is one that I know is going to hit home for a lot of you, and I know I've personally been guilty of it as well. We're talking about why you keep saying yes to everything, why that is quietly burning you out, and how to confidently, professionally, and respectfully start saying no. Not aggressively, not emotionally, but strategically. Because here's the truth. If everything is a priority, nothing is. And if you say yes to everything, you are unintentionally saying no to the things that actually matter. So let's start with honesty. Why we say yes. Most people don't say yes because they want to. They say yes because they feel like they have to. So let's break that down. You might be saying yes because you don't want to disappoint someone. You don't want, or you want to be seen as helpful or reliable. You're afraid of conflict. You think saying no will impact your reputation or how people see you, or simply because you don't know how to respond in that specific moment. And in leadership, in business, and in team environments, this just gets amplified because now it's not just, can you help with this? It becomes, can you jump on this real quick? Can you take a quick look? Can you handle this since you're so good at it? And before you know it, your day is no longer yours. Your priorities are consistently changing and shifting, and your actual responsibilities, they're getting pushed to the side. So, what's the real cost of saying yes? Let's talk about how this actually costs you, because this isn't just about time. This is about missed deadlines on your actual deliverables, things that you've already said yes to, reduced quality in your work, increased stress and burnout, lack of clarity in your role, and ultimately a breakdown in trust. Because here's what happens. When you say yes to everything, you become the default person. Expectations increase and boundaries disappear. And ironically, you start feeling overwhelmed, underappreciated, and stretched thin. And in the back of your mind, I know you're thinking, well, because I'm doing all of this, I should be paid more. And this is not because you're not capable, but because there's no structure around your time. So it is important to start shifting your mindset. This is where you can reframe things. Saying no is not being difficult, being unhelpful, or being negative. No actually stands for next opportunity. Doesn't mean that you don't necessarily can do it, but it's more like, I can't do it right now, but let's talk about it later. Saying no is protecting your responsibilities, maintaining that quality, prioritizing what you actually moves things forward. You're not responsible for everything. You're responsible for what is assigned to your role. And that distinction truly matters, because without it, you become the system. So here's a 3-step framework on how to push back. This is where we can get tactical. These are the 3 steps you can use in real conversations starting today. Step number 1, pause. Do not commit immediately. This is where people go wrong. They respond too quickly. When somebody asks, you say yes, and now you're stuck. Instead, build a habit of pausing and use these examples by responding with, let me take a look at my current priorities and get back to you. Or, I want to make sure I can give this the right attention. Can I circle back? And lastly, let me check what I have on my plate first. This does 2 things. It gives you space to think, and it signals that your time is structured and not reactive. Step number 2 is align. Evaluate against your role and priorities. Now ask yourself, is this part of my role? Is this what I'm responsible for? Or does this actually belong to somebody else? Does this align with my current deliverables? What would this impact if I said yes? This is where your SOP, your standard operating procedure mindsets comes in. If it's not aligned with your responsibilities, then it requires reprioritization, reassignment, or clarification. And it's okay to pull in your leader or your manager into this conversation to really determine, is this something that you're responsible for? In this case, you're not rejecting the work. You're actually clarifying where it belongs. And this actually elevates you as an individual to really look at your priorities and your workload. Step number 3 is responding clearly, politely, and in a structured way. This is the part where people struggle with the most. So I'm going to give you real language you can use. Option 1, priority trade-off, where you can say, I can absolutely support this, but I want to confirm. Should this take priority over X, Y, and Z current task? This shifts the decision back to where it belongs. Option number 2 is tied to role clarity. You'll be able to respond with, this falls slightly outside of my current responsibilities. Who would be the best person to take this on? And option number 3 is your capacity boundary. Here's where you can say, I'm currently at capacity with my existing priorities. I wouldn't be able to take this on without impacting timelines. Option 4 is delay with intention, where you respond with, I can take a look at this later this week once I complete, insert your priority task, and would that timing work? And option number 5 is redirect with a solution. I may not be able to be the best person for this, but I recommend connecting with this team, this person, or even this tool who handles this area. This is where you notice something important. None of this is emotional. None of this is defensive. They are very structured and clear and professional responses. So let's make this real. Here's a scenario. Workplace overload. Your manager comes to you and says, can you just take this on real quick? And this is where you can reply, happy to help. Can you help me understand how this fits in my current priorities? I want to make sure I'm focusing on the right things. Scenario number 2, business owner boundaries. This is where the client or even an internal resource comes to you and says, can you also add this to the scope or to your responsibilities? You can say, yes, that's a great addition, but let's outline this as a separate scope so we can give you it the right attention it deserves. Really focusing on, does this really belong with me right now? And is this part of the current scope of work that I'm responsible for? Most likely, it's going to be an increase in scope where there's cost and time associated with it that needs to go back for scoping and contracting. Scenario number 3 is your personal life. A friend asks you, can you help with this weekend? And this is where you can respond, I'd love to, but this weekend is already committed. Let's find another time that works. So what happens when you start doing this? This is where things start shifting. When you stop saying yes to everything, people respect your time even more. Expectations become clearer. Your work improves. You feel more in control. And most importantly, you stop operating reactively. You start operating intentionally. If you take anything from today's episode, let it be this. You do not need to say yes to everything to be valuable. You need to be clear on where you bring the value. And that comes from structure. This is exactly why I always go back to roles, responsibilities, and deliverables. Because when those are defined, you don't have to guess. You can confidently navigate every single conversation. If you're ready to build that structure, make sure you check out the Master SOP linked in the show notes. It walks you through exactly how to define your role, your priorities, and your workflow so you can protect your time without second guessing yourself. And if this episode resonated with you, share with someone who needs to hear it. Because the more we normalize clarity and boundaries, the better we all work. So until next time, keep building with structure, and remember, structure creates freedom.